It is National Library Week, and this year's theme is Strong Communities. The goal is to highlight how today's libraries are moving beyond books to remain the heart of our cities, our towns, and our campuses. Carla Hayden is the Librarian of Congress, the largest library in the world with 1.7 million visitors each year. And she says the goal is still the same, to be a community space. It's so nice to be here. This is such a beautiful space. Thanks for talking with me. It's National Library Week, so happy National Library Week.
And thank you, because this is the nation's library, and it represents what libraries do throughout the country in communities, on campuses, and so this week is special for libraries and librarians and people who love libraries. This week is our week.
Well, I love libraries. Have libraries changed dramatically? I mean, when I was a kid, I think libraries were thought of as very special and important. And in those many years, there's less investment. I think some people think they might be less relevant than they were years ago.
Libraries are still special and important, and in different ways. There are libraries that have sections called Beyond Books, where you can check out a sewing machine. You can check out tools that you need.
Out of the library?
Out of the library. The number one thing that people are going into public libraries for now is information about health. And so they're relevant in different ways.
You are the first woman to be the Librarian of Congress. And when you think about the number of women who are in the field, that's a bit of a shocker. You're the first person of color, and you're the first librarian since 1974.
I'm a threefer because librarianship is a profession that is a feminized profession. 85% of the workforce is female. However, the top management in most libraries doesn't reflect that fact. So as the first woman to be Librarian of Congress since 1802, that's something. And the first person of color, I descended from people who were forbidden by law to read in this country. And to be a person of color at the helm of this symbol of knowledge and reading and learning and literacy is personally very significant for me.
You famously kept the library in Baltimore open during the protests after Freddie Gray's death. And I think a lot of people would have said, listen, shut it down, tamp it down, just don't open. And you said, no, we're gonna open. Why?
Because we knew in that city that the library was a lifeline. It was directly across from the burning building and the car, and people used that library to really connect with things that helped them in their lives. And so the morning after, 10 o'clock, there was a young man there to fill out on the computer a job application, and then 2 days later he came back and said, thank you, I have an interview. So that's why we knew in that time that the library had to be open.
Do you have a favorite volume? I know it's sort of like, you run the Library of Congress, you have access to everything, but still.
My favorite book is actually a children's book. It was called Bright April. And I was an 8-year-old little brown girl with pigtails. I was a brownie. And this book was about a brown girl with pigtails who was a brownie. And it was the first time that I saw myself in a book. It was a window to the world, reading for me, but it was never a mirror. And that's why Bright April will always be my favorite book.
You've been in the job for a little over 2 years. What are you most proud of what you've been able to accomplish?
What I'm most proud about is that we are going to really make a push to make our collections accessible online. We've digitized the papers of Rosa Parks, the papers of and diary of Teddy Roosevelt, that we've been able to digitize the papers of Billy Strayhorn, who was the composer that worked with Duke Ellington. So that's what I'm proud about, that we're going to open up this treasure chest, we're going to make it relevant. So that is what I'm really excited about.
Well, congratulations on all that you've accomplished and all that you still have yet to do. Happy National Library Week.
Thank you. And we want everybody to celebrate and visit their local library.